What is up, bros? Me, Josh here, bringing you a quick video on the new ship heading towards World of Warships, the first French ship in the Tier 6 premium battleship, the Dunkerque. Now, the Dunkerque is a pretty interesting looking ship. You may ask yourself, what's so special about it? Well, the Dunkerque only has two front guns. You can see there's no back guns on the ship, so it's a different play style heading towards these mid tiers. This ship has two front turrets with quad barrels, so it's actually pretty interesting and the first of its kind. Though there's no other ship in the game that has quads, but no back turret. So this is definitely going to change the way kind of the mid-tier battleship is played, and that's what I kind of like about it. You see the Scharnhorst with the low caliber shells, you have to play a little different. Now the Dunker also brings a different play style of how you're going to be playing this battleship. Because what the Dunker has, it has good guns, but they're both in the front, so nothing in the back. So you do a lot of what I would call the high tier battleship play, where it's a lot of front in, slow. You let them come to you, and you don't have the ability to kind of run away too much. But it's a front on. Imagine like a high tier Zumo. This is kind of what the ship looks like. It's basically a tier 6 Zumo, except the three turrets in the front are now been condensed into two turrets with quad barrels. So this is actually a pretty cool ship. I'm liking that Wargaming is throwing in these different styles of ship, different play styles, and it's really kind of changing the way that this game is one going to be played, and two, a good variety of play styles. So I'm really liking that. But let's dive right in. Now this ship boasts 52,600 hit points, so it's right in between the New Mexico and the Fuso, kind of right in there, just a little under those guys. But mainly the armor is the main thing you're going to look at this ship. Now the ship is actually lacking normal battleship armor for that tier. The tier 6 is about 80 to 100 millimeters less than any normal battleship, and so the forward, which is actually 25 millimeters, you're going to end up doing a lot of front-on battles, a lot of front-on engagements, and not showing your side too much because you're lacking that kind of citadel protection and that kind. But this ship doesn't have the good of armor for battleships, so if you're caught sideways, you can absolutely get obliterated. So you really have to change, like I said, use environment, use islands, use cover as use your advantage, because if you're blasting the front, then you don't have to really worry about taking it to the side too much. So it's kind of different. So the armor is the one thing that's really taking this ship kind of it's making it play differently, and I really do like that, actually. That if it was too protected, then it just would massacre everything. But this gives it one kind of weak point. So what do you do to take away the broadside is you cover one with some kind of environment or something like that, and then you do a kind of a front on in, where you're blasting away and making them shoot kind of at the front end, where I was actually bouncing a lot of shells when I played, even from higher tier stuff. Now, of course, you can get the front massive penetration damage, but really I was having some decent luck kind of going the front in. Now that could run into the problem of losing a turret, which this kind of runs into the problem that the Ognvoy had, the Russian tier 6 destroyer, where if you lose one turret, you lose half of your firepower, which is kind of a downside. But I only had it happen, I think, 2 games, and I think it was against higher tier battleships, but it definitely does suck when it happens. But really, I did like the kind of the front end play for this. Torpedo protection was at 27%. I was noticing that I was taking lots of damage. This is kind of the same problem as the Scharnhorst, lack of armor maybe. With these couple ships, make it so torpedoes kind of beat you up a little bit. But all in all, wasn't too bad. It has some decent maneuverability, so you're able to get away. Now the main battery, you're rocking 2 quad turrets at 330 millimeters. These are a little bit lower than like the Warspite or the Fuso or the New Mexico. These are a bit lower, but they're 2 quads, so I kind of like that. You got 8 shells going forward. It's kind of the only one like that. Fuso, you got to get more broadside. The New Mexico, you got to get more broadside to get that many shells out. So the 2 quads in the front, it's actually kind of nice because you really don't have to worry about kind of what's around you, because everything you're shooting, you don't have to worry about swinging the butt around to get more guns out like you do the Fuso. Everything you can shoot in the front, so I really kind of actually like that. Now the secondary armaments are 133 millimeters, and they're really located, there's some on the sides, but mainly in the back, which is kind of interesting. Now you got to imagine you're mainly going to be pointing forward towards yourself, so it does kind of make sense that your butt is kind of covered from anyone trying to flank you. These things actually kind of load out. It's really cool when they turn, especially the one with the flag on it. And these things actually did some relatively good damage. The range is 6.3 kilometers. Now that I have AFT, you could probably bump it up to 6.4, 6.5. And it actually did a relatively good job. The shell damage about 1900, reload time 5 seconds. These are big shells, and they actually did help with some destroyers. With the speed of this is almost 30 knots, and that's without the flag. You can actually run away from some destroyers, and you actually have decent range. So the secondaries I actually saw pretty helpful in situations. Now you got to kind of get to the almost in a running away situation to make them super effective. Like if you're going front on, you're only gonna get two of them, honestly. But to kind of cover your ass almost, they do a really, really good job, especially against other destroyers. Now the main battery is an 18.2 kilometer range. You're a little over the New Mexico, just under the Arizona and the Fuso. So the range is okay. One thing that kind of doesn't work too well with it is the detectability range. This is not as bad as the Fuso, but it's definitely not that stealthy of a ship. Now, I don't have a 15-point captain because it's the first French ship, so it's the first one. Only can level up a French captain through this, so I just got him to level 10, I think. So on our way there, so that'll drop it a little bit, drop it down to about 14 in some, if my math serves me correctly. But still, that's relatively high. You can get the Arizona down really, really low. Same with New Mexico. So you're not as bad as the Fuso, but you do get spotted relatively quickly. And having a mediocre range, I guess, for battleships at that tier, it kind of does. You kind of have to be a little bit careful. But like I said, you're not going to be going broadside too much. You're going to be going kind of at a 45 degree angle or straight on, so you can kind of use that frontal bracketing ability of the armor to kind of get into a fight and engage. The AA, I noticed the AA was pretty decent. Lots of now the AA was pretty decent. Wasn't anything to write home about, but it definitely was shooting down a few planes. 45 AA rating. You got 133 millimeters, 130 millimeters, same as the secondaries. So you got the big guns kind of fighting with you. And I actually did notice that I was shooting out a decent amount of planes in this ship. Where I think even one game I was up to like high teens, maybe near 20. I played about 15 games with this ship the other day, so actually did pretty well. So the AA was decent. With AFT, I didn't get to play too many games with AFT, so that definitely will help. You're at an effective range of about 6.2, so it's pretty solid. You can definitely help yourself out, and especially with the maneuverability of this ship. I was able to swing in and out of planes relatively easily, but you know, with the only 27% torpedo, you do take decent damage, but I felt like the AA was pretty solid. The secondary AA I thought were pretty good on this ship. Now, the maneuverability on this ship, I really did like. It's fast, almost 30 knots. You can get over 30 knots if you're on the flag. Turning circle radius of 730 meters, and rudder shift of 11 seconds. I felt this ship to be super agile. It did a really, really good job of getting kind of in and out, turning in and out of torpedoes, and really getting into a good position of kind of angling in right against one, other ships, and two, other environment to get around and protect yourself. Now, one thing I also noticed was the turret rotation was actually pretty quick on this, about 31 seconds. So you're able to bear these two turrets, you know, these 8 shells you're going to be firing at stuff relatively quickly for a battleship. So I did actually enjoy that reload time of 28 seconds, with the AP hitting at 9,700 and HE of 4,800, and a chance of fire of 35%. So that's actually relatively high. The ship, all in all, a lot of people have been giving this ship a lot of, I think, negative criticism, and I don't really think it deserves it. I had a lot of fun playing this ship. I think throughout my games, I averaged 70, 80, I don't know, 80k damage on this thing, and I was actually having a lot of fun. It has that play style. It's different, which is something I really like. The Scharnhorst is a different style. This is a different style, but this is the kind of ship that is for you if you enjoy that high tier, like the high tier slow play style, front in, let's kind of duke it out shot for shot. It's not the let me zip in and out, in my opinion. This is a slow going battleship, which I think kind of even lets it up tier decently. Now, I was getting beat up pretty hard by Norcals and Amagis, but still, this is, it lets you kind of do that front in and kind of be artillery platform almost, you know, protect your side, protect one or two sides, shoot over mountains, be relatively sneaky. And if you really need to, you can go in and kind of do work and kind of brawl a little bit, but you have to be careful because of the lack of armor. Now, I don't know. I had great success with this ship. I played it a lot and was doing relatively good. It has that punch power of hitting ships. I was hitting citadels on battleships from relatively far away. This is absolutely obliterating cruisers. The secondaries are relatively good on destroyers. The one main thing that was getting me is the dispersion. So downsides of the ship, dispersion of 227, so relatively big. There is some, I would kind of compare it to almost the Nagato plane, at least from my personal experience. The Nagato sometimes would do amazing, and sometimes would kind of be all over the place. So I was kind of bracketing, I was kind of splitting ships and missing some that I thought were going to absolutely murder. But other than that, I felt like the ship did a decent job at what it's supposed to. And I think to make the ship super effective, you have to play it right. And that is kind of, in my opinion, sitting there playing kind of passively and pouncing on targets and moving when you need to. This is not, I think, in my opinion, a very aggressive ship. This is a very passive battleship. Kind of sit back, hit your shots, use protection, and then when you have the ability to push, when your side is, in power, then you push and you're a really good force. Decent rate of fire for its tier, lots of shells going forward at least. You can be aggressive because you're pumping 8 shells as you're going forward. It's the only ship of its kind like that. It's really, really cool in my opinion. So I don't know if the negative reviews or whatever the ship is getting are quite really worth it. I actually had fun playing the ship, and I mean, I would even recommend this ship. It's not as strong as like the Arizona, because the Arizona is insane, but it's different. This does other things really different, as the Arizona is kind of that good brawler, rapid, it can take out stuff kind of on the move. This thing does its job well, but it's a different job. This can kind of hold down a flank and do really good at kind of taking a beating while pumping out damage, as that front-on battleship. So, like I said, the weak side of this ship is the dispersion. It can definitely be troll lol every once in a while. If you do lose a turret, you lose half of your firepower, so that definitely does suck. The secondaries are kind of more in the back, so you don't really get that all-over secondary awesomeness that you really want. But the strengths has a good reload. It's really agile. It shoots forward. I mean, you can be an aggressive battleship if you want and have decent success. So I did well against battleships. I did well against cruisers. It did well against destroyers too. It's fast. It's fun to play. So do I agree with the negative reports? Maybe they were playing it differently than I was. Maybe they're playing a different ship than I was. I don't know. I like the ship. I thought it's fun. It's different. I like that Wargaming's throwing in different ships into the mix and different playstyles into the mix. And I'm excited for what the next ships have to focus for. So, or what ships are going to be coming next. So, do I give this ship a thumbs up? Absolutely. It's a fun ship. It's a good tier. It's a fun tier. There's a lot of good ships and a lot of good battleships at this tier, honestly. Is it the best tier 6 battleship? No. Is it a fun tier 6 battleship? Yeah, it's different. I like it. Thumbs up. Good luck, guys. That is my review on the Dunkerque, the first French ship in the in World of Warships, and it's a battleship, so that's pretty awesome. So look forward and look out for it coming into a store near you guys. I will catch you next time. This has been me, Josh. Check me out on twitch.tv, and I will see you guys next time.